Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing a foundation, and this is the new foundation from Urban Decay. It's called the Naked Skin Weightless Ultra Definition Liquid Makeup. So this is touted as being weightless and going to blur all your imperfections. So how I thought this video will go is right now I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the basics, how many shades, the price, things like that. And then I'm going to cut to a short clip of me actually applying the foundation to my bare face. And at the end I'm going to tell you my personal opinions and how the foundation has been working for me. Alright, so this is the box that the foundation comes in, and probably the first thing you'll notice when you see displayed these, there are a lot of different shades, 18 to be exact. The shade that was closest to my skin tone was 0.5, which was the lightest shade. And a cool thing about their shade system is, so it goes 0.5, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5, all the way up, I think, until like 10 or something like that. And so one thing to know, if you're trying to look and see which foundation will work best for you, if the foundation name ends in 0.5, that's going to be for more cool toned people like me, like where you have a little bit of pink to your skin. If it ends in a 0.0, that's going to be more golden yellowy tone. So that's already going to be helping you kind of like make the right decision. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that sometimes I tend to go, even though I am cool toned, I'll buy a more yellow foundation because I hate looking too pink. But this 0.5 wasn't too pink at all. I think it works really well with my skin and I'm happy with how easily it blends out. In the bottle you get 1 fluid ounce of product and it has a really nice pump on it. So it's a plastic bottle, and while I feel it looks expensive and nice, it's not super heavy, which is nice for like throwing in your bag or something like that. The price is $38 and I purchased mine at Ulta. I believe you can also get it at Sephora, Macy's, and on urbandecay.com. So Naked Skin is oil-free, paraben-free, and fragrance-free. It claims to have medium coverage and give a, I think the phrase that they're using is a demi-matte finish. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on into me actually applying the foundation, and then I'll tell you kind of my own thoughts at the end. Okay, so I'm bare-faced, except I did put on a little bit of moisturizer and SPF since this foundation has no SPF. So I'll be using the Urban Decay Naked Skin Foundation, and the directions do say to shake it well first. It's a very liquidy foundation. And I find that one full pump works perfectly for the amount of coverage I need. So I'm just going to dot it around, focusing on the center of my face. I did have some pretty bad breakouts on my chin last week, so I would use just a little bit extra after I had, done like one application of it, and I found that it's really easily blendable. To blend out the foundation, I am going to be using the Urban Decay Optical Blurring Brush, and this is the foundation brush that they created and have marketed to go along with the Naked Skin Liquid Foundation. I have used other brushes. I've used my Samantha Chapman, what is that one called? The Expert Face Brush, and that one worked well too. So I don't think you need this, but if you're in the market for a foundation brush, this one is really nice. I believe it was $24. And it's shaped very similarly to the Sephora Mineral Powder brush. So I really like that shape, and it's incredibly soft. So the foundation just doesn't feel like anything going on. It's super lightweight. And for me, I think that this is just a perfect medium coverage foundation. When I see medium coverage, this is kind of what I'm expecting. So I think it delivered in that. And if you wanted, a lighter coverage, you could always use this with a sponge or a beauty blender and just use a little bit less amount of product. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just start blending out and making sure that everything is even. Alright, so here is the foundation completely applied and blended. I ended up adding just a little bit to my eyelids just to help kind of even out some of the skin tone up there, but I love the coverage that this gives. It's not super full coverage. I can still see a little bit of this healing blemish, and a couple of my darker freckles are showing through, but I normally use a concealer anyway, so I'll just put a little concealer over here. But overall, it feels like nothing on my skin. I guess that's one of my favorite aspects of this foundation, is how lightweight it is. It feels like nothing, but it still gives you that good coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the rest of my face and come back and kind of share some of my thoughts and opinions about the foundation. Alright, I've applied the rest of my face makeup. So first let's talk a little bit about the coverage. I am really pleased with the amount, and I do think it's that solid medium amount of coverage. And where I think this foundation really excels is that you get the medium coverage, but you don't feel anything on your face. It really is what the claim says to be lightweight. So it feels really nice to the touch. It doesn't feel like I have a lot on my skin, and that lasts throughout all day. Like, you know, after 8 hours of work, I don't feel like, oh, I just want to wash my face so bad because I feel like I have cakey makeup on it. When a foundation is touted as being anything luminous, that is usually my cue to back away, because as a person with extremely oily skin, I do not need any added dewiness. My skin takes care of that on its own. But this foundation is probably the only foundation I have in my collection that is good for lots of different skin types. I can see lots of people liking this. And myself, with super oily skin, I did set it with a translucent setting powder in my T-zone, because I know what that's going to look like in a few hours, and I just want to like keep that oil at bay. But I left my cheeks free because I do like the glowiness that this foundation gives, and that's, I guess, what I'm trying to get across. It's going to let you have that little bit of glowy, healthy look, but it's not going to be a super dewy foundation. So if you're a dry skin person, this might not be as dewy as you're used to, but I do think this foundation is good for a broad spectrum of people. Okay, so we've talked about the basics, we've talked about the coverage and the finish. Now if you're going to ask me if there's any cons, to me, that's going to be a matter of personal opinion, because this foundation has no SPF. So if you're a person who wants to have their SPF in their foundation, this is going to be an automatic no for you. But if you like to use a moisturizer with SPF or just an SPF for your face, I think this is a great option. I think this is also a wonderful thing to keep in mind for nighttime events. When you're going to be photographed in the evening, this foundation, because it has no SPF, you're not going to get any of that flashback, so you'll have more attractive pictures of yourself the next day. So that is something that you're going to have to decide, is SPF a deal breaker for you? But overall, it's fun to do reviews when you really like the product, and that's where I found myself. I've been using this for a week and a half, really pleased with it. It's not my most long lasting. I get a full 8 hours, but again, if I'm going to, because have such oily skin, if I need something that's going to last me for like 10 or 12 hours, I'm going to need to use a more matte finish. But for just an everyday foundation where I know that I get my SPF and a moisturizer and a face sunscreen, this is a perfect option for me. I would be interested if people with other skin types other than super oily have tried it and what your experiences have been. I know that a lot of people have gotten, they've had some pretty big size samples that they've been giving out at least my Sephora, so I know a lot of people have already been trying it, but I'm really pleased with this foundation so far, excited to add it into the mix, and I can see myself using this a lot. So I know that was a lot of information. I hope this video was helpful. If there was anything I did not cover, feel free to ask me below and I will do my best to answer it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. So I feel like it just gives, I say I feel a lot. I feel. Why am I feeling? Why is makeup giving me all the feelings?